A Christmas tragedy, the death of a second child in Border Patrol custody in less than 3 weeks. According to U.S. officials, the boy was identified as Felipe Alonso Gomez. He'd been detained 6 days earlier alongside his father and displayed flu-like symptoms on Christmas Eve. Officials say father and son were immediately transferred to this nearby hospital in New Mexico. At 1:20 p.m., the hospital determined the boy had a temperature of 103, but 90 minutes later released the 8-year-old back to CBP custody with a prescription for antibiotics. By that evening, the boy's condition had worsened and he was rushed back to the hospital where he died just before midnight.
I've reached out to Customs and Border Protection to find out what happened and then what we can do to be helpful to the family.
Overnight, the CBP calling this a tragic loss, announcing it will be conducting secondary medical checks on all children in its care, with a focus on children under 10. Earlier this month, a 7-year-old girl from Guatemala named Jacqueline died in a Texas hospital, also while in the custody of U.S. Border Patrol. The little girl's body was returned to her home village earlier this week. Jacqueline, among an all-time record number of children trying to cross into the U.S., arrived at the border ill, says CBP, but her death leading to outrage and calls for independent investigations. Last week, a congressional delegation visited the Border Patrol station where Jacqueline was held just hours before her death.
I don't even know how to describe it. You could smell, it was uncomfortable, it was inhumane.
What circumstances, what policies may have contributed to her death?
Because of the concern of a flu outbreak, the CDC has also been notified. Now, I've spoken with the Customs and Border Patrol Commissioner, who told me that one of the major issues is the record numbers of families trying to cross into the U.S., among them about 24,000 children this month alone, an all-time record, a humanitarian crisis the agency simply doesn't have the resources to handle right now. Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.